While most saw Caitlin Clark's record-breaking performance as another statistical feat, those who watched closely recognized something deeper: a seamless merging of sports, branding, and cultural presence. Sharing laughs with Lexie Hull and trading lighthearted barbs with golf star Nelly Korda, Clark didn't just shine, she connected, on and off the green. Her interactions had a lightness, a natural rhythm that showed how sports icons across disciplines can share space without ego. It wasn't basketball. It wasn't golf. It was something more, a celebration of personality, humility, and the kind of leadership that doesn't need a podium to be seen. The entire event unfolded like a blueprint for what's next in women's sports. Clark's stylish presence, her unforced kindness toward fans, and her confident ownership of her brand all reinforced one thing: this is no longer about being the best in one arena. It's about shaping the arena itself. And with every camera click and child smile, Clark proved she's not just influencing sports culture, she's building it. Caitlin Clark just broke a world record at a golf event, and Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull were right there, front and center, celebrating like they just watched her hit a game winner in a championship overtime.
If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe.
That reaction, that pure, explosive joy, it wasn't scripted. It wasn't staged. It was real. And it told you everything you need to know about how big this moment was, not just for Clark, but for women's sports as a whole. This wasn't just about a stat. It was a statement. Clark's record-breaking performance at the event didn't come in her usual uniform. She wasn't holding a basketball. She wasn't even on the court. But her presence, her influence, was just as dominant. And the way she handled it? Calm, confident, connected. Like it was another day of doing what she's been doing all year, rewriting the rules. Because this wasn't a golf highlight. This was a cultural moment. And once again, Caitlin Clark was at the center of it. Everything about her appearance at the event was dialed in. Her Nike outfit was clean, bold, unmistakable. The CC logo was visible, perfectly placed. Her golf gear, her look, her composure, it all pointed to someone who knows exactly who she is and exactly where she's going. She wasn't there to experiment. She was there to execute. And she did. She broke a record in a sport that isn't even her main focus. She stepped into a new space, elevated it, and brought her fans, her energy, and her presence with her. And the result? The kind of buzz most brands can only dream of. The event became a showcase not just of her skill, but of her range as an athlete, as a brand, and as a leader. And it all played out on camera with her teammates right beside her. Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull weren't watching from the sidelines. They were in it, laughing with her, cheering her on, fully immersed in a moment that felt historic. Because it was. That bond between Clark and her teammates wasn't just sweet. It was symbolic. It represented what sports are supposed to be about: growth, support, elevation. Watching women athletes celebrate each other with that much enthusiasm sent a message louder than any press release ever could. This wasn't just Clark's win. It was a collective one. It also underscored something that's been building for a while now. Caitlin Clark is no longer just a basketball star. She's something bigger, something more expansive. She's stepping into new arenas, making new partnerships, and proving that her influence goes far beyond one sport or one season. Her collaboration with Nike is well known, but the branding on display at this event, that was a different level. It wasn't just gear, it was presence. Her style, her equipment, even the way she moved, it all reinforced her brand as polished, modern, and undeniably hers. Throw in her collaboration with Stanley, and the message couldn't have been clearer. She's not just being endorsed. She's curating her image, and she's doing it with intention. That's the part a lot of people miss. The precision behind what she presents. Caitlin Clark doesn't just show up and let the cameras do their thing. Every appearance is layered. Athletic performance, brand alignment, fan engagement. And this event brought all of that together in real time. Speaking of fans, the response was overwhelming. Young girls crowded the sidelines, holding up signs, wearing Clark jerseys to a golf tournament. That level of crossover loyalty is rare. And Clark met it with exactly the kind of energy that made her a fan favorite in the first place. She stopped to talk to them. She smiled, signed merch, listened. She didn't rush through it. She gave those moments her full attention. Because she knows what they mean. For the kids, it's life-changing. For Clark, it's legacy. Every meet and greet, every selfie, every comment on social media, it's all part of the larger impact she's having. Her authenticity doesn't just make her likable. It makes her believable. And that's what today's fans respond to. Not just talent, but truth. And Clark delivers both. The athlete-to-athlete interactions added another layer. Her bond with golf star Nelly Cordes stood out. Not because they were competing, but because they weren't. It was all respect. Two elite performers exchanging smiles, jokes, and admiration. No ego, no tension. Just two professionals recognizing the grind in each other. That kind of unity matters. It showed what cross-sport collaboration can really look like when done right. Not forced, not fabricated. Just genuine connection between athletes who understand what it takes to be great. It was refreshing, and it reminded everyone watching that visibility doesn't have to be zero-sum. There's room for everyone at the top. That's the future Clark is helping shape. One where women athletes don't have to be boxed into one identity. One league, one role. She's proving that the modern athlete can be multidimensional. An elite competitor, a brand architect, a role model, a cultural voice. And all of that was captured in this one event. Breaking the record was huge, but the ripple effects were even bigger. Media picked it up. Brands leaned in. Athletes reposted the footage. Fans made highlight edits within hours. That kind of reaction isn't built on hype. It's built on impact. And Clark has it in spades. Her ability to make any space feel like her own, whether it's a basketball court, a golf course, or a corporate boardroom, is the clear sign, yet that her influence isn't temporary. It's lasting. It's growing. And it's reshaping how we define athletic success. Because Clark's success isn't tied to a single stat line. It's tied to how she moves, how she connects, how she leads. She leads by example, by showing up prepared, poised, and proud of who she is. She leads by inclusion, bringing her teammates into the spotlight with her, not keeping it all to herself. She leads by innovation, breaking into new sports, forming smart partnerships, and managing her brand like a seasoned executive. And as far as influence goes, she's already on another level. This event didn't mark a turning point. It confirmed what we already knew. That Caitlin Clark is a once-in-a-generation talent with once-in-a-generation reach. She doesn't just break records. She breaks barriers. And she does it with a smile, a swing, and a squad of women ready to cheer her all the way there. If you watched that moment and felt like you were witnessing something bigger than sports, you weren't alone. If you felt the energy shift, if you saw the potential for something new, something greater, something different, you were right. And if you're ready to keep following every move as Caitlin Clark continues to reshape the landscape of women's sports, go ahead and like this video, leave a comment about your favorite moment, and hit subscribe. Because this is only the beginning. And Caitlin Clark? She's just getting started. Caitlin Clark didn't just show up at a golf event. She delivered a masterclass in how to own the moment, break a world record, and redefine what it means to be a modern athlete. All before most people even realized she was holding a club. This wasn't some novelty appearance. This wasn't a lighthearted off-season media stunt. This was a fully intentional, fully strategic, fully Caitlin Clark moment. And it landed. Hard. The moment that record dropped, everything else paused. The cameras zoomed in. The crowd erupted. Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull, both locked in, riding every second of it, jumped to their feet like they'd just watched her drain a buzzer beater from the logo. Because in a way, they did. Only this time, the court was green and the ball didn't bounce. Their celebration wasn't just sweet, it was deeply revealing. This wasn't about watching a teammate break a record. It was about watching a friend, a leader, a movement in the making. Clark breaking that record wasn't just a headline. It was a reminder that we are witnessing the rise of an athlete whose influence is crossing lines that were never meant to contain her. And that celebration? That's what support looks like. The kind of support that's been missing for too long in women's sports. The kind that says we're not just competing, we're building something together. Clark didn't win alone. She didn't glow alone. She brought her people with her. Sophie and Lexie weren't background characters. They were part of the narrative. And in doing so, Clark sent a message that couldn't be clearer. Success is better when it's shared. But let's go back to the moment itself, because yes, it was historic. Breaking a world record in golf, especially when you're not a professional golfer, is no small thing. It speaks volumes not just about Clark's talent, but about her work ethic, her drive, her willingness to step into new spaces and deliver, not just participate. And the way she carried herself through it, calm, cool, fully present. She didn't boast. She didn't flex. She just smiled, celebrated, and moved forward, like this was exactly where she was meant to be. Because it was. That poise. That's the part that makes her dangerous in the best possible way. She's never rattled, never distracted, even in the middle of a viral moment, with teammates cheering, fans screaming, and brands watching. She stays Caitlin. And that consistency is what's making her unstoppable. But here's the other layer, the brand. This wasn't just about a record. This was about how it happened. Clark didn't show up in generic gear. She didn't wear just anything. She showed up fully styled, fully branded, and fully aligned with the partnerships she's been building over the past year. The Nike outfit was sharp. Performance meets presence. The CC logo wasn't tucked away. It was up front, proud, visible. The Stanley product? On brand, on cue, on message. This wasn't accidental. This was an athlete who understands that her platform isn't just about what she does. It's about what she represents. She's building something bigger than herself. And that means every appearance, every outfit, every interaction is part of a larger ecosystem. It's not just branding. It's legacy building. And she's managing it with more clarity than many athletes twice her age. And it's working. Because when Clark steps into a space, whether it's basketball, golf, or a boardroom, she's not just representing a sport. She's representing a shift. A shift in how women athletes are seen. A shift in how they move. A shift in how they control their own stories. And nothing drives that home more than the way she engages with fans. Because while all of this was happening, the record, the branding, the media frenzy, Clark still made time for the people who showed up just to see her. And she showed up for them just as much. Young fans lined the edges of the course, many of them wearing her jersey, others holding up signs with her name in bold letters. Some had basketballs, others had golf balls. All of them had one thing in common. They weren't there just for the sport. They were there for her. And Clark didn't rush those moments. She stopped. She smiled. She talked. She signed. She connected. Because she understands that those seconds, those small, seemingly ordinary interactions, are what fuel everything else. She's not just building a fan base. She's building trust. And that trust, it's what turns followers into supporters. It's what turns attention into loyalty. It's what turns an athlete into a movement. Caitlin Clark is becoming that movement. And it's not just because of what she's doing, it's how she's doing it. With humility, with strategy, with community. She's not stepping on toes to climb. She's bringing people up with her. Sophie, Lexie, the fans, the kids who look at her and see something they've never seen before, a woman who's not being allowed into rooms, but walking in like she owns them. That's the shift. That's the story. And then there's the way she handles cross-sport interactions. Her banter with Nelly Cordo wasn't just cute, it was meaningful. Two high-level athletes from two different arenas, vibing effortlessly. It was fun, sure, but it also spoke to something deeper, respect. The mutual understanding between athletes who know what it takes, who know the pressure, the expectations, the balancing act of performing, inspiring, branding, and living under a constant spotlight. That interaction showed that Clark isn't just earning respect in her own sport. She's earning it everywhere she goes. And when you zoom out and look at the bigger picture, it's undeniable. Caitlin Clark is changing the architecture of women's sports in real time. She's not waiting for permission. She's not asking for validation. She's building her own platform, her own rules, her own playbook. And the rest of the world? It's just trying to keep up. She's showing younger athletes that they can build careers and brands. that they can cross boundaries without watering down their impact, that they can be taken seriously, be marketable, be everywhere, without having to play smaller for anyone else's comfort. And that's the legacy she's creating, right now, in front of all of us. So when she broke that record, and her teammates exploded, and the crowd lost it, and the cameras captured every second, what you were really watching was a new model being written, not just for athletes, but for what's possible. The record breaker was just the spark. The wildfire that followed, that was everything Caitlin Clark has been building. There she was on a golf course, no hardwood, no hoop in sight, and still, somehow, everyone was watching. Not just sports fans, not just basketball followers, but a spectrum of people across industries and interests. Because what she did that day was bigger than a number, a distance, or a stat. She stepped into a space that wasn't hers and made it feel like it always had been. And the craziest part? It wasn't surprising. This is what Caitlin Clark does now. She doesn't ask for attention. She walks into a new arena and becomes the moment. Effortlessly, organically, strategically. That word, strategic, keeps coming up because nothing about Clark's rise has been accidental. Every appearance, every logo placement, every handshake, every smile, it all fits. It's all aligned, and it's all moving in one direction, forward. This golf event wasn't her sport, but it didn't matter. She showed up, broke a world record, lit up the crowd, made time for fans, elevated her teammates, bantered with Nelly Korda, wore her own Nike-branded gear, and walked off the green like she'd done 100 times before. She didn't look out of place. She owned the space. Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull's reactions weren't just sweet side content. They were a mirror, reflecting the magnitude of the moment back to the audience. When Sophie raised her arms in disbelief and Lexie clapped with that kind of giddy pride, they weren't just hyping up a teammate. They were reacting like the rest of us, stunned, impressed, but not even remotely shocked. Because by now, we all know what Caitlin Clark is capable of. And the chemistry between them, Clark, Cunningham, Hull, is part of the magic. That dynamic is what makes the whole thing resonate. It's not just Clark rising on her own. She's bringing people with her. She's building community. And she's keeping it real. There's no ego in those interactions. Just love, joy, mutual respect. That authenticity bleeds through every frame, every video, every headline. It's why fans aren't just watching, they're invested. Clark's career feels personal because she shows up in a way that invites you in. She doesn't talk at her audience. She brings them along for the ride. And the ride is moving fast. Let's talk branding because what happened during this event wasn't just a sport highlight. It was a masterclass in modern athlete marketing. Clark's Nike ensemble was clean, sharp, and unmistakable. The logo? Her own, right where it needed to be. No confusion about who she is or who she represents. This wasn't just Nike branding her. This was Caitlin Clark owning her identity. She's not just a sponsored athlete. She's a co-author of her brand story. The Stanley collab? Subtle but smart. It shows how thoughtful her partnerships are. Clark doesn't just slap her name on anything. Everything she aligns with is consistent with her image. Strong, clean, functional, stylish. These aren't passive endorsements. They're pieces of a broader ecosystem she's curating, intentionally. Because Clark knows what a lot of athletes take years to figure out. Longevity doesn't come from stats. It comes from story. And she's telling hers with clarity. And people are buying in literally and emotionally. The fans at this event weren't just there for golf. They were there for her. They wore her basketball jerseys to a golf course. They waited hours just to get a glimpse. They screamed like it was Game 7 of the finals when she broke that record. And Clark met that energy with grace. She took time. She asked names. She made eye contact. She crouched down to talk to the kids who could barely speak because they were so starstruck. She never made it about herself. She made it about them. That's not PR coaching. That's character. That's someone who understands what it means to be in this position and what she can do with it. She's more than a role model. She's a reference point, something to look to, something to aspire toward, not just for how she plays, but for how she moves. And it's that movement, the Caitlin Clark effect, that's changing everything. Because now the question isn't, can women's sports be big? The question is, Are the institutions built around them ready for what happens when they get big? Clark is proving that the demand is there. The fan base is there. The momentum is there. The infrastructure? That's the part that needs catching up. Because if golf can embrace her this easily, why can't every league do the same? The truth is, Caitlin Clark is a catalyst. And not just for marketing departments and sponsorship strategies. She's shifting the culture. She's showing us what women's sports can be when we stop limiting it to just athleticism and start celebrating identity. What she represents isn't just potential. It's reality. She's showing that female athletes can lead, can influence, can dominate the conversation, not just during games, but between them, and in places no one expected, on golf courses, at brand launches, in viral clips, in the hearts of 8-year-old girls who finally see a path that feels possible. And as Clark's influence grows, so does the pressure for leagues, for brands, for the media to finally start doing what they should have been doing all along, showing up, investing, and staying consistent. Because Caitlin Clark isn't waiting. She's building her brand, expanding her reach, inspiring other athletes, winning, connecting, living the model that we've all been asking for. And she's doing it without waiting for permission. That's why her record-breaking moment in golf hit harder than anyone expected. Not just because of the number, but because of what it meant. It was proof that her talent isn't confined to a single sport. Her influence isn't contained by court lines. Her legacy isn't limited to basketball. And this is just the beginning. She's 100% healthy. She's moving into the next phase of her WNBA career with more confidence and clarity than ever. And now, with cross-sport visibility and strategic partnerships growing by the day, Clark's trajectory is only getting sharper. Every appearance now carries more weight. Every move is more calculated. But none of it feels robotic. None of it feels forced. Because Caitlin Clark is doing the impossible, making global influence feel natural. She's not chasing headlines. She is the headline. And if that record-breaking swing on the green proved anything, it's that Caitlin Clark can show up anywhere and make it her arena. It's not just her reach. It's her range. So if you've been watching this journey unfold and you've felt that sense of momentum, the feeling that you're not just witnessing success but history, you're right. And if you're all in on what comes next, go ahead and hit that like button. Drop your favorite part of the moment in the comments. And make sure you're subscribed because Caitlin Clark isn't just changing women's sports. She's changing the rules of what it means to be an athlete. One platform, one record, and one breakthrough moment at a time.